All right, guys, welcome to this edition of the INBF Canada Athlete Series, a special edition episode this time around because we have 7-year INBF Canada veteran, family man, ITR polygraph. He's an expert in polygraph examinations, and he's been with INBF for day one, Ken, right?
Yes, right off the bat.
Day one. And what's unique about Ken and his philosophies, guys, is that Ken embodies the element of a true natural bodybuilding and fitness federation actually would be, because it all comes down to how we do integrity in the federation, how we make sure all the athletes are really embodying true drug-free status when they go on that stage. And Ken's process, along with Leslie as well, really help embody that with INBF. So Ken, really welcome you to the show today, the INBF show today, and talking about polygraph examinations. You're a first-class guy in the federation from day one to 7 years later with INBF. You've seen hundreds of athletes go through polygraph testing, all the years of service that you've been through. So tell us a bit more about yourself, Ken, how INBF kind of started for you.
Well, thanks for the great introduction, Matt. Leslie and I have been running ITR polygraph service since 2003, and we've been with the INBF since 2008. We started our company just trying to offer polygraph to the regular person on the street. If somebody has something to prove that they have no other way to prove it, we wanted to offer them that. So we're very much a business that we like to help people.
Excellent. And this is the thing, Ken, that's unique about what you do is that when you come to our shows and you're working with all the athletes, you and Leslie both, you aren't just into the polygraph. You're making the athletes, giving the atmosphere of that really comfortable feel, but also very professional feel. Really making sure that no one's going to get past drug tests, no one's going to get past going on that stage and making sure that we're all clean. And that really, in what I believe in our values for INBF, is true natural bodybuilding and fitness, is what you guys do with polygraph testing, Ken, at ITR. So can you tell us a bit more about, the importance of why a polygraph test is so important in what we do?
Okay, I think, Matt, the first thing that we need to establish is that you guys run a 7-year drug-free program in the INBF. A urine test or a blood test isn't going to tell you whether that athlete is drug-free for 7 years. So the polygraph is a really great tool to eliminate people who have been using banned substances from competing in the INBF. There are other federations out there that are okay with people taking banned substances, and if people want to take banned substances, there's a venue for them to compete. If people want to be an all-natural athlete and stand up and say, I'm a proven all-natural athlete, it's the INBF. It's the only federation I know that is completely 100% tested. Every single athlete that's on that stage has gone through and passed a polygraph test.
From the person who got first place to last place, that doesn't matter for INBF, and that's the beauty of what you've done, Ken and Leslie have done with ITR and INBF. And just so you guys understand what Ken said there, what's really important is that in a lot of what is in natural bodybuilding and fitness is that we don't see, we see marketed natural shows, but we don't see truly natural by drug testing standards. So Ken, when you're doing your polygraphing, as you mentioned, you're doing every athlete.
Absolutely every athlete. Nobody gets on that stage unless they've come through ITR polygraph service testing, meeting with Leslie, who will tell them the process of what's going to happen with them. She welcomes them to the INBF, sort of takes a little bit of fear out of them, does a little paperwork with them before they even come to see me. So before they even get in the polygraph chair, they have probably emailed with Leslie several times. They've had a chance to speak with her for 10 or 15 minutes and talk about some of their concerns about the polygraph, and then away we go. We're just going to bring them into the polygraph suite. We're only going to ask them questions pertaining to the banned substance list. Their personal life and what they do outside of this is none of our concern unless it has something to do with the banned substances. So I know a lot of athletes are sometimes apprehensive, thinking that we're going to ask questions about their personal life or anything. We're not. We're only going to stick to the topic at hand, that banned substance list.
Ken, how long is your polygraph test?
The polygraph test that I run for the INBF will generally take an athlete. We usually book at 20 minutes to a half an hour appointment per athlete. So what happens is I ask them a series of 10 questions with 3 relevant questions in it, but I run that set of charts 2 separate times. I want consistent data through my testing, and I want to give that athlete a chance to go through the process twice. And it kind of alleviates some of their nervousness, which most people are. It's very natural to be nervous when you come for a polygraph test. It's kind of the fear of the unknown.
Awesome. So Ken, when you're going through these drug tests and with these athletes, How, because you always hear this from people, because I really want to hear it from the master who's been in this industry for how many years now? 18 years, 15 years now, Ken?
I think we started ITR Polygraph in 2003.
Yep.
So we're 13 years in.
Excellent. So with that being said, when someone says to you a polygraph isn't always 100% accurate, I happen to disagree with that because I still had athletes who, have something to hide. They come in there, and as you mentioned, they might say certain things, do certain things that can be inconducive to that. So how do you kind of, mention those things to athletes when they kind of come that way?
Well, you know what? The polygraph is scientifically proven to detect deception. I'm only monitoring my examinee's physiological response to the stimulus. And of course, in our case, that stimulus is that carefully worded question. Have you taken anabolic steroids in the last 7 years? And it's a simple question. It's yes or no.
Excellent. And that's the beauty of having the 7 years. So is there a reason, Ken, I know the INBF, WNBF has a 7-year policy, but from your standard and your expertise, why do you feel 7 years is so important?
Well, I mean, Matt, the INBF are going to set the criteria for me, but I think athletes who have been taking anabolic steroids, testosterone, clenbuterol, growth hormone, will have an advantage if we let them in prior to that 7-year period. And I think in order of fairness for our completely 100% natural athlete who's never taken any growth hormone or anything, I don't think that would be fair to them on the stage. Personally, I think bodybuilding is a lot like jogging. I think anybody can do it, and everybody should be doing both of those things. Not everybody's going to run the Boston Marathon. Not everybody who does resistance training is going to get up on a stage in a bodybuilding contest. So I think certain people are more gifted or more dedicated that can achieve that. And I think people that work hard at their physique and their health and promoting good health need a venue where they can show off what they've done. Now, a lot of our competitors are trainers, and I think for any personal trainer, the best business card is your body.
So true. So when it comes to the ethics in natural bodybuilding and fitness and the integrity, how do you define that from your end?
Well, I quite enjoyed INBF athletes. I think they are people of good quality and good character, and it comes through when I meet them. I mean, I always interview everybody before I ever put them on the polygraph. I ask them questions about diet, what they're taking, water intake, all these kinds of things. I think that the people who like to or who do compete in the INBF and who do well in the INBF are alphas. I think they're high achievers.
Definitely. So when someone comes for their first polygraph test for an athlete in INBF or WNBF, and they come to you, Ken, how do you really ensure that, if to calm their nerves down or they're really worried about the test, how do you proceed with something like that?
Well, Matt, I'm so fortunate to have Leslie. Leslie is the first line of the polygraph. People will meet her, and she's going to sit them down and talk to them about the process of the polygraph, what's going to happen to them, and alleviate a lot of their concerns prior to them coming in to see me.
Excellent. That's excellent. So how many questions? It was 10 questions, Ken?
It's a series of 10 questions, but we only use 3 questions relevant to the issue. So there's other questions in the test that are necessary for us to get a good reading on the individual.
Excellent. Now, actually, on the table today, we actually have some of your equipment handy here, correct, Ken?
Yes, we do.
Do you mind showing us kind of briefly what these elements are used for in a polygraph test?
Well, sure. I'll kind of just explain what's going to happen in a polygraph. During the test, the person will sit in a chair facing a blank wall. I'm going to put 2 things around their body to monitor their breathing. I'll put 2 things on their fingers that monitors galvanic skin response or perspiration from the palm of the hand. And of course, I'm going to put on a blood pressure cuff. Now, the blood pressure cuff, I'm monitoring 2 things, a pulse rate and your blood volume. So, blood pressure cuff, very similar to what you see in the doctor's office, is like this, of course, with the pressure thing.
Yep.
This is what I put on a person's finger, so it's just 2 things that strap on to your index finger and your ring finger, no current, nobody's ever been shocked, we haven't lost anybody. And of course the things that go around a person's body, which are called pneumotubes. Okay. So for lack of a better description, the pneumotube goes around your body, it's kind of like an accordion type thing. All it does is expand and contract with your breathing. Lets me monitor your breathing, if there's changes in breathing. When people are lying to me, all kinds of things happen in their body. Your physiology changes. All kinds of things like digestion stops, salivation stops, blood will rush from your extremities to your brain and your larger muscles. These are things we just can't control. The palms of our hands and the bottom of our feet will perspire, and it happens this quickly.
Wow, interesting. So all this equipment here are things you use in your tests all the time,
Yeah.
Ken, right?
Every test, every time.
Interesting. And I've also noticed too, you've also been doing more stuff like, as far as, getting it message out to people as far as polygraph testing and how you guys do. I heard you guys had your TV series as well here that was a few years ago, correct, right?
Yes, it was. And of course, Matt, you'll remember that our first episode was INBF Canada.
It was. We were pretty fortunate for that.
And you know what? Leslie and I were very lucky that we were asked to do The Lie Detective. We originally for Court TV Canada. Great advertising for us, but also if people watch that series, you're going to get a better understanding of what happens in a polygraph exam. Too many people come in with the Hollywood version thinking, I'm going to ask one question one time, make an opinion on them. I want more consistent data. That's why we run the 2 charts.
Can they actually find those episodes somewhere online?
I think they will soon be online. I had a thing with CTV that they had the rights to the shows for so many years. That has now expired. So I'm revamping my website, and I think we're going to put a link and try to put them up on YouTube.
Excellent. And possibly you might have to be doing that once again in the future. You never know, right, Ken?
Yeah, we've had some talks with our producer, and we may be pitching to Slice TV. So we have our fingers crossed. I think that would be a wonderful opportunity for ITR.
That's awesome, Ken. Is there anything else you want to add to the interview today as far as the drug testing procedures of INBF and how important you feel it is for a polygraph to be in a federation like INBF and WNBF?
Well, I think there's no other way for a person to prove they are a 100% natural athlete for the last 7 years of their life, that they have trained hard, they have dieted hard, they have stuck to the program to achieve what they have achieved. And some of the athletes in the INBF are phenomenal. I have met some phenomenal athletes who are beautiful on the inside and out. Okay, their physique is fabulous, their personality is great, positive to be around, very much like you, Matt.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And I appreciate saying that, Ken. As far as where the polygraph has really helped our federation be where it is today, and I want to share a few words on that because I really feel from day one, 7 years ago, to where we are now, what separates INBF and WNBF from being different from everybody else out there is our polygraph test. And being, truly 100% drug-free. And when athletes come to our show, some are nervous about the polygraph. But after they finish, they're like, wow, that was the best experience I had because I knew I truly competed in a truly drug-free platform. And I was treated fairly. Ken and Leslie were amazing with me. The athletes, were awesome backstage. Judging panel was fair. So really feel that what you guys do, Ken, is so critical to where INBF started and where we're growing to in the future. So, a big thank you to what you've done for us, Ken.
Well, I just want everybody to know that if you're going to come to a polygraph test for the INBF Canada, we're going to stick to the script. We're only going to ask you about the banned substance list. We're going to ask you a 6-month ban on the product ephedrine, 6-month ban on clinical diuretics, and people, it's clear in the literature on the INBF website of what is expected of our athletes, and if they have completed that criteria, or they should know that it's going to be okay for them to compete. I know some people are apprehensive because they think the polygraph is invasive and going to look into their personal life, which we're not. We only want them to know what you're doing with your diet, with your training, and then you're able to compete. So people who are nervous or afraid of the polygraph, if you have any questions or concerns, phone me or Leslie. We'll certainly talk to you about anything on the banned substance list, any concerns you have prior to coming, and we can certainly go through that process with anybody.
Excellent, Ken. Where can they find you online?
Well, we are 2 places online. Our corporate website, itrpolygraph.com. So itrpolygraph, of course, .com. Also, our other website is our website for the television show, which is theliedetective.ca.
Excellent, Ken. Well, there you guys have it. Ken Donaldson, Leslie Donaldson with ITR Polygraph on the show today, guys. Ken's a man of integrity. Leslie's a man of integrity. I was going to say Leslie was a man of integrity. That wasn't going to happen quite well. So definitely going to say thank you very much, Ken, for all of your support. Really appreciate that, and looking forward to where the Federation is growing to with ITR Polygraph and how we can really support the movement of natural bodybuilding and fitness to grow where it truly needs to be in the sport of natural bodybuilding with WNBF and the INBF collectively together so we can really build that movement. So thank you, Ken.
Well, thanks, Matt. I just want to add, I just think the INBF is a company of integrity. I think they are a great role model for our children. I think people should be looking to the INBF and trying to emulate the people who are successful in the INBF.
Thank you, Ken. Really appreciate all of your support, guys. Check it out, guys. This episode on Stitcher Radio or iTunes, and also on our YouTube page, inbfcanada.com. Ken, thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt.